Today, we have half of the four-man directing team known as Radio Silence. Radio Silence actually began their careers as comedic directors in partnership with the Lonely Island Boys on YouTube. Within Hollywood, Radio Silence are known as horror directors. They directed the last and arguably the best segment on the first VHS movie. They also directed Devil's Due for Fox, starring Zach Gilford, that came out in January of 2014. For anyone who's watching and gives a shit, these guys are great dudes to hang out with. And they are going to talk about how they would reinvigorate the Paranormal Activity franchise with Paranormal Activity, the Spring Break edition.
I'm Chad.
I'm Matt, half of Radio Silence, and the movie we're pitching is
Paranormal Activity, the Spring Break edition. It's like getting Paranormal Activity out of the house and into
a hotel. Out of the house and into a hotel.
Right, because what says scary more than more rooms, a lot more rooms, and a lot more co-eds having a good time on Spring Break.
One of the things that we always love is starting as a comedy and basically lulling the audience into the idea that they can relax and enjoy something, and then do a extreme flip about at the midpoint, where all of a sudden it goes from fun, personal drama into holy shit, terror. So this movie is going to be horror comedy, but not comedy horror, technically. More of that it starts as a comedy, flips into a horror. That's something it's a hard sell, but when that works...
Tonally, it's a lot more similar to Joyride.
Joyride is like our touchstone.
Yeah, we love Joyride. Rather than Scary Movie, where it's more just straight spoof and sketch.
Yeah, no spoof.
Yeah.
No spoof. Funny the way Neighbors is funny.
Just make the audience feel comfortable with the movie. Like, we get them in, we'll give them two characters, probably.
From Nebraska,
who are going down on spring break. And we like to give the audience time to, like, get a nice personal bond with them, be able to laugh with them a little bit, so when we do inject the scares, they take it up a couple notches and really affect the audience.
Yeah, and make the audience fall in love with the characters. One of the things we actually think found footage is great for is being able to be personal. We live on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram video, and so to be able to use all of that to be personal and to really get into the characters, that's where we come from, is doing short little funny things that then flip. It allows you to feel like the characters are your friends and are one of you in a way that kind of never existed before. A Paranormal Activity set in the world of Spring Break, you get something that's kind of unexpected in a world that you've only seen portrayed in non-found footage. People kind of know what to expect when they get a paranormal movie. This would be unlike any paranormal movie you've ever seen because it's loud, it's bright, it's really energized, it's not stagnant. We've now gotten to a place with found footage, and honestly, some people will argue this, but we believe that with found footage now, it shouldn't even be called found footage anymore. We call it POV movies. We've heard a lot of people saying that, but this footage is not found. This footage is not discovered. It's not, Blair Witch did that, the first Paranormal did that, and that was fantastic.
Our approach to found footage is a completely immersive POV for the audience. I think in tone-wise, we keep our characters grounded, we keep our worlds real, we keep our environments familiar. And so the audience gets to see these characters live and have fun and laugh and all the normal things that everybody does every day. So they feel like they're one of them. That's our main reason for using found footage for a lot of these things, because we want the audience to be in the world.
And then when the scares hit, the scares are scarier.
So Act 1, basically we're going to start out with our two female leads, and they're going to be driving to spring break in Florida. So we get a little look into their lives, leaving rural Georgia behind them and driving down to the magnificent hotel in St. Petersburg, Florida, where they're going to be spending spring break.
Road trip, beach, the bars, the beach bars, all the fun, lively spring break stuff. They were high school friends who went their separate ways, and this is the first time they've hung out after leaving each other for college. So it's kind of a reunion for these two.
In high school, they were equals, but after the first semester of college, they grow a little bit apart, and their interests are definitely starting to diverse just because of the different schools they went to.
There's clearly something unspoken, some issues they've got to work through.
And the hotel is Casa de Escobar due to the illegal drug cartels taking over Florida. There are some events there that happened at the hotel in the 1980s that made the hotel shut down. It's the cheapest hotel you can get in St. Petersburg for this week during spring break because it is so trashy. Along the way, we get to see them stopping at fireworks, shoot fireworks out of the cars at each other, have a good time, allow the audience to be in the car with them.
Yeah, so Act 1 is basically
Connie and Amber.
and really getting to live in spring break for a while and having fun and, all the fun of spring break.
You know what? Fuck it. We're young. Let's have a good time. And like hooking up with different people in a single night, or just going to a different bar and getting blackout drunk.
But the main action will take place in this hotel that they're staying in. Because for us, it's always fun too, and this is what the paranormal movies have done so fucking well, creating basically a prison cell out of something that's normal. Your home, and turning it into the most terrifying place in the world. Instead of being, the couple in the house, we have a whole bunch of young spring breakers in a horrifying hotel. So it's a little bit of The Raid, a little bit of Spring Breakers, and a lot of Paranormal Activity. A lot of the paranormal movies are basically 2 acts. There's not much of a third act, and if there is, it's fairly quick. That's something we think could be really fun for this, is to do a 2-act. First one is really, really funny, and the second one is the horror. We think it'd be fun to really try to break that, where you can have something that is funny and moving for the first half, and then terrifying for the second half. So it'll be a short movie. We're talking like 85 minutes.
We're really big fans of the 2-act structure too, just because we love that tension build, and that it's like shaking the champagne bottle, the fun, the jokes, the humor, all the setups where we see
and it's smashing that champagne
and then
bottle.
Instead of just popping the cork, smashing the top of the bottle off, and then for the second half of the movie, it's just a wild and crazy ride.
The Connie Amber story. So Act 2 is where we go this way. We just suddenly make a left turn. One of the things we always talk about is that Strangers is one of our favorite, scariest movies. I remember watching Strangers in the theater and just being like, fuck. Like, when is this thing gonna fucking be over? Because I can't deal. If we can accomplish something like that with this movie, where you've taken the time to get to know these people, to have fun with them, to laugh, to think, hey, we're having a great time, and then go like in a split to, wait, pandemonium, visceral fucking terror. That's the goal in Act 2. There's this guy, he's in the room next door, his couple of their buddies, they've been hanging out with these dudes. Connie's boyfriend's back home, but they're kind of on the outs, and this guy's really cute, he's really nice, he keeps kind of coming by, and they're flirting and having a good time, but she's like, no. And so, he comes by, she's like, no, I can't do it, but it's cute, you kind of are rooting for them to get together. It's like The Sleepless in Seattle, you're like, what's wrong with fucking Walter, man? Bill Pullman's a cool dude. So this guy comes by, second time, it's like, hey, come on, like, let's hang out. Like, let's go. Let me get you a drink. We'll go have a romantic walk on the beach. So then, Connie and Amber in the room, knock at the door. It's like, oh, he's back. Oh, just go flirt with him. Have a good time. Opens the door, and this is where we just flip into somebody has raided the hotel. And what we want to do with this is we want to avoid demons. Because, I'm not sure why.
Demons are a little played out.
Yeah,
right now.
like, fuck demons. Let's go real.
And it's another great way to flip the Paranormal franchise around. So it's like the Paranormal Activities make this their bread and butter off of like, oh, there is a demon. Like,
so we'll just call it
so
Normal Activity.
Actually, yeah. But now we get to flip that on its head even too. So we did the comedy horror flip. Now we get to flip the demon into, rather being a soul that possesses people, to actually just bad people.
People are scarier than ghosts. Because
they're real.
Because you can there's always a safety with ghosts. Even the scariest, haunted movie or paranormal movie, there's an ounce of safety that you always have. Because you're like, even if you kind of believe it, it's not real.
The killers are all dressed in normal Spring Breaker clothes. You don't know if they took their mask off. They could just be
blend into the crowd.
They blend right in.
They could be anywhere.
And the masks are just plain white. No distinguishing features or characteristics, and just X's over the eyes. So she opens the door and she sees the boy she's about to hook up with out in the hallway. And they hear a scream down the hall, thinking it's just the normal partying going on in the suite at the end of the hall. And they have their nice little flirtations at the doorway. And then the next thing you know, somebody runs by covered in blood.
That's when we find out that basically the hotel has been just taken over. It's kind of like, the things that come to mind are like Towering Inferno, but instead of fucking fire, it's a bunch of dudes in masks. You don't know what they want. You don't know what they're after. Running around killing people. You have no idea why. And the whole second act, we want to just play like applying pressure. It's a lot like The Strangers, where like the minute they come in, from that minute on, you're like, oh, this is just not going to let up until the movie's over. And that's what we want to accomplish with the second half here.
So all the stairwells are blocked. You can't go down the stairs. Elevators aren't working, and not only are they not working, all the elevator shafts, the doors are open, and the elevators are at the very bottom. Dead partiers everywhere. Connie and Derek are out in the hallway, and
Derek is the guy next door.
Yeah.
Derek he's just a nice, good-natured dude who is he's not like, like a jock, like an asshole. He's just kind of a good dude, which is something that Connie is so used to having, the commanding boyfriend, that a guy that's just a nice, caring guy is a little bit like...
You think he's a Prince Charming.
He's perfect. He's you. He's Chad.
Yeah. They're out trying to figure out what's going on. They don't know who to trust now besides... Because it's pandemonium. There's bodies everywhere. We have people killed with like the fire axe. We have people killed with glass from broken vases. We have beer bottles impaled in people.
Oh, aluminum cans can be used, knives.
Right, as razor blades.
Yeah.
Connie and Derek end up going back into the room.
So now we have a trio. We have Connie, Derek, and Amber.
Yep.
And they're stuck at the top of this hotel. It's like a blockade everywhere. You need them to get down.
Mm-hmm. So the chase is on. So they're busting down each door one by one, and if they find anybody hiding in the room, they bring them out there. They walk them over to the elevator shaft, and they just throw them into the shaft. So they fall to their death. The 20 stories to their death through the elevator shaft.
They have helmet cams. So now we can go into their point of view.
You get
so you
the
killer
POV.
point of view,
Yeah.
and you get the hero point of view.
We find out the killers actually want is nothing. They have no agenda. They have no real motive other than the fact that these kids were just having a good time and having fun.
We can never be like, oh, people are fucking crazy. You have to be like, oh, they're crazy because they need this, because they want this. Some people are awful, and then some people are great. And to have those, good and evil facing off, that's like the crux of most good movies. Morally complex, but not giving an answer to what they want.
Basically, we'll be using like cameras that everybody uses every day. iPhones.
GoPros, security cameras,
anything that you would like record vacation activity with. And the other cool thing we definitely want to get into this is the POV from the killer's point of view. If they're maybe wearing headgear with cameras with GoPros rigged to the headgear, see the predator at work actually.
If the camera exists in the world, you can cut to it. And that's kind of the rule, as opposed to, well, how did this get compiled and where is it and who found it? Who gives a shit? The way that everything exists now, we just think it's cool to allow yourself to just tell that story through, the cameras that exist in the world.
By the end of the movie, when they are able to be the only survivors of this brutal massacre and the killers leave the building and they just leave them, the girls have the only evidence that's left, and that's why we have these tapes from both the killer's point of view and actually theirs, because they wanted to do it. They wanted to get that out there, like, we are going to kill people, we want people to see it.
What if Tarantino made a Batman movie? They don't just exist in some writer's head. They're a little too out there. If you'd like me to keep making more, please share this with all your friends. I hope you enjoy them.